This is the Sewing Circle podcast presented by Hanky Code. I'm Rebecca Vanderkoy, here to introduce to you up-and-coming queer artists and the powerful stories behind their work. Today I have with me Em Crowe, an indie pop musician based in Brooklyn, New York. Em and I met when we both worked at a talent agency together, and since then it's been so inspiring to watch them make their way as an independent musician. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for your kind words. That's so nice.
So, how long have you known that you wanted to be a musical artist?
Good question. I don't know that there's a time I ever wasn't like that. I think from a really young age, I was just involved in a ton of musical things. My dad's side, my grandfather could play like every instrument if he just touched it. And then my grandmother was really on the classical side, so she was very by the book. So we had a lot of music in the family. But yeah, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I think I started doing musicals when I was like 9. And then it just snowballed from there. And I was in like 6 choirs in high school. And then college, it was a lot of choir. It was a lot of choir. And then in college, I actually took like quite a break. I didn't play anything. I didn't play piano. I didn't sing for like 4 years. And then the pandemic was, a moment where we all were looking inward. And so it all started up again.
Wow. So you recently released your single 26. Can you talk a little bit about the process of writing and creating that song?
Yeah, I'm a lyrics first person for sure. Which is something I want to challenge myself to not get rid of, but try the other ways that you can kind of start making a dent. But I actually, funnily enough, was like just wanting to scratch a creative itch. And so I found a monologue online and I was like writing notes on the character that I was trying to look at. And the first thing I wrote down was the first lyric of the song, which is, "This is mine, even though it isn't." And so that was just like a really poignant feeling that I felt like I really related to. And that's kind of where it started. And then, lyrics and melody kind of end up building a sandwich along the way. And I just wanted to put it down.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're an independent artist, and because of that, you've had to do a lot on your own. So I'm kind of curious, like, what types of things have you learned to do as you've kind of made your way in this world?
Yeah, well, it's really funny. I run up against a lot of resistance with me a lot. And I think many people do, but it's kind of that thing where you're like, well, I can't play on this record because like I'm not good enough to play keys on it. And so I've actually spent a lot of time trying to learn how to produce because I felt so like disconnected from my instrument, other than my voice, of course, that's its own thing. But like, I'm just so passionate about singing, much more than I am about playing. But playing is kind of unbeatable. You kind of have to get in there and do it. So I feel really lucky because I've been a part of a band for the last 4 years. So I'm surrounded by musicians often, and we collaborate in that way, and it's really nice. But lots of production going on there. Trying to learn how to make beats, trying to figure out mixing and mastering. I definitely still need the cavalry to come in when it hits that stage. But I do a lot of vocal layering, which is really fun. And that was something that was kind of just natural because of the 70 choirs I was in. So I find it really fun to arrange that way, kind of in like some influences I could think of off the top of my head are like Emily King or Sarah Kinsley or, kind of artists in that realm of really stacking the vocals. So that's kind of what I've been getting into on the back end.
No, I feel like that's such a interesting skill. Like just you kind of came to it being like, I want to sing. And then you kind of built out from there, learning all kinds of different things, it sounds like.
Yeah, because if you want, I was stuck in that place that I think many artists get stuck in where it's like, I don't have enough help and I don't know how to do this. And so I put out a song called Play On in 2021. And it was just the virtue of having to sit in my room and figure it out. So I would spend hours just like poring over what all the little knobs do. And that was a really like that song was an education for me. And then I had a friend mastered it for me, but I mixed everything in it, and it was the first thing I ever tried to do. So, ever since then, it's only kind of grown up, but it's pretty cool. It's tough though. I mean, my heart goes out to the people who want to do that because it's kind of crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So you had mentioned that you're in a band as well as kind of doing your independent stuff on the side. Can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. I have such great bandmates. I love them so much. We're called the Forest View Movement. And we're actually playing a show in New York in April. So that's going to be really fun. Two of us live up here, two are in Philly, one's in Jersey. So we're all kind of spread out now, but
Hmm.
um, we're a Philly-based band, and it was like kind of serendipitous. We all met a couple days after my birthday, I remember, and we wrote like 4 songs together in the same day. Um, so they're awesome. And then for my side stuff, I kind of like I run it by them. I'm like, what do you think of
Yeah,
this? What would you want to like? What's missing? Um, and so that's only happened a handful of times because I'm getting a couple of things done, and I'm always embarrassed about sending a demo. It's always so stressful. You're like, these vocals suck. Just ignore that part. What about the rest? So they're really
fair
cool.
enough.
They've influenced my style and taught me what I actually can do because I've been able to
Hmm.
perform live with them. And that was kind of my first like dive back into being on any kind of stage. So that really expanded my horizons for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like also just kind of having people that you can go to be like, hey, can you like take a look at this? Or people who you already respect and know their work. Just kind of having that, being able to like bounce ideas off someone is
Yeah,
something that's
you all
really
speak
nice.
this, right, right, and you speak the same language, so it's like
Yeah, exactly.
what I don't like to do and what sounds I don't like or what I really latch onto and stuff like that. And we've played with genre a lot. We have a really hard time answering that question of what genre we play. But it's definitely
Fair
more of
enough.
like a rock funk influence, so that kind of bleeds into the solo stuff too, which is really fun.
Yeah. So that kind of leads great into my next question because I'm curious how you would characterize your music style.
I thought you were gonna say that. I, like I don't know why it's such. I think some people are really married to their genre. Like they're like, I can do this because I want to do like country, or I want to make like punk music. And
Hmm.
I really love to defy the boundaries. I want everything to be like smushed together. And I think that's more and more popular as time goes on. But I
Definitely.
would definitely say it's like indie with some funk rock influence is what I would say. I really want to challenge myself to write a song around a bass line next, because that's always kind of the driving force of like the groove that you kind of get into.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, my like so many of my influences are so vastly different. Like I love, I'm sure I've talked to you about Medium Build. I love him. That's my friend in my mind.
I love
So
it.
he's like my most played artist of the year. And then I
Hmm.
really, like, in terms of so he has really like raw, hard hitting lyrics, which I feel like I kind of love that aspect of what I've been writing. And I also really love like being sarcastic. And I think that's kind of a Haley Williams influence, or, like her
Yeah.
solo projects are really great, but she writes really sarcastically for Paramore. It's kind of humorous. And then, we got to throw some jazz in there and call on Amy Winehouse once in a while. So those are kind of my
Absolutely.
friends I keep with me when I'm writing.
No, I think it's also kind of fantastic to have such an array of influences. And also, I think there is something to be said too of like, not that sticking to one genre is bad at all, but I do think it is like a very cool thing creatively that you're just willing to branch out and just kind of try different things.
Yeah, yeah. And another honorable mention is an artist called Devin again. She's really cool, and I think she kind of hits that like, what's going on here? Like, I don't know if I know anyone that sounds like this. And so that's always what I'm always trying to achieve that. You want to kind of be the needle in the haystack, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, is there a story behind any of your songs that you'd like to share?
Yeah, it's really fun. I watch a lot of like album reviews or like I love Zane Lowe's interviews, of course, like he's super popular, but
Mhm.
I really love, like, there's nothing better than writing a song and then finding out what it's about. And I think that kind of happens to me most often, is I'll be writing
Yeah.
towards like a lyric and kind of try to surround it with the feeling that I think it evokes, and then I'm like, oh, this is about this. Like, I'm writing a song that is in the works right now that I was originally thinking about, like, past lives and me feeling like I'm on the eighth one out of nine. Like, I'm almost the wisest and almost there. And then I
Mhm.
kind of realized that that's like about queerness and about, like, you know, we're all going through a tough time right now. And
Mhm.
that feeling of like almost being able to see, like, we were almost the generation who could have fun in our 20s unabashedly, and then it keeps getting like given and taken away and things like that. And obviously that's really sad and dark, but this song,
Yeah.
to speak to 26, I ended up writing it thinking about like childhood, and there's a lot of nostalgic lyrics in there, like sitting on a beach chair with my dad watching a storm is something I used to do, or playing games like Sorry and Life, which are mentioned in the second verse. And so I kind of wanted to evoke this feeling of like the going back to the nostalgia doesn't work anymore. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you feel better, it just makes you feel stuck. And so the song in essence is about like not even realizing that you won. Like, you're focusing so hard on what you lost on the way to the gain. And so that, I think, is like a pretty universal feeling, but with really
I
specific
think so.
from my
Yeah.
life and like memories and childhood and like running up and down the driveway.
Yeah. Well,
So
I
yeah.
think that is what's like so amazing about music though, is because it is something that like obviously so personal and specific to you, yet the general experience is so like everyone is like, yeah, that
Yeah,
checks
it's
out. I've
really,
been through that. I know what that's like.
yes. And it's so like now I kind of get it. Like, I love when people come back to me. Like, I've had friends come back to me and be like, this made me think of this from my life. And it's so cool to see
Mhm.
like where all the plugins are for people. That's like the most exciting part. And that's why I get when artists are like, it's up to your interpretation. I was always like, ugh, but what does it mean? And then now I'm like, no, no, no. Don't tell them. So it's really
Like
cool.
that's true actually.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that
I'm
is really cool.
like,
So we kind of touched on this a little, but I'm kind of curious. How does queerness impact the type of music that you create?
I mean, it's something I think we all as a group of people are kind of always coming to grips with, just like anything else though. And I think queerness kind of gets singled out as that thing that like is this point of suffering and pain in your life. And I think you need to write about those things. You need to like let them out and let them be a part of
Mhm.
you. But I also think it's really important to like the biggest act of rebellion is joy. Um and so I think that's really important. And what, like, you can write the saddest song about it and it still makes people feel better or makes them
Yeah.
feel like related to, and I think that still brings about joy even if it's like a sad kind of concept or the song is kind of talking about your struggles through it. So I think it's also like not wanting to fit into anything is very that realm for me too. Like, I just don't,
Yeah.
I spent so long trying to be like, if you either, I had this problem in my life where I always needed to like undo the Rubik's cube and like figure it out and get to a conclusion, and that only ever hurt me instead of helped me. So I kind of like, I really love writing like ambiguous things, and so I kind of, everything's up to interpretation by the end, even still when you feel like, okay, I'm standing on solid ground, and you can still be feeling that while like catching the things that come your way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So, switching gears a little bit, I'm curious outside of music, what other types of art would you say like influence and inspire you?
Yeah. I mostly like the crux of my life is writing. I don't do enough of it, but I mean I do far too much songwriting comparatively to anything else. But creatively, I'm honestly, like, I'm an AMC A-list member, which is very important to me at this juncture in my life. And so a lot of my passion otherwise is in film and like writing and understanding characters. I think that's kind of the same thing as writing a song. Like, I think of them each as like a character version of myself in a way, because you have to commit to that feeling that you're trying to put out and you don't need to address all the other ones. So, but anyway, I'm really excited to watch the Oscars. And I think movies are definitely a big influence. And I also really like, I am that friend who you kind of don't want to go to a museum with, because I need to read every placard and look at every thing for about 20 minutes, because I need to like, I love getting like lost in visual art and trying to piece it together, because I think it's the thing that I understand the least, so I'm the most curious about it, because I don't really do anything very tactile that's creative, I would say. Like, I don't, like, I know like you knit and crochet, and then like I don't really do a lot of things with my hands now that I'm thinking about it, but I love looking at it, and I think that's like a really like, influential but kind of a thing you might not think is a big influence that ends up being a huge one. Like, I went to an installation down in Hudson Yards, and it's called Luna Luna, and it's all these carnival rides that were built by like Keith Haring, Basquiat, Dali, and like all these crazy people you never thought would have met. And it made me cry. And then I went home and thought about it for like days, and I had to write stuff down. Like, I took notes.
Wow.
So I that and movies. I'm a big observer. I love to just watch it all happen.
I feel like that makes so much sense though too, because like as someone who is a writer, whether that's like you're writing songs or some of your other writing, like observing kind of goes up, I feel like really hand in hand with writing.
Yeah, like if you write stuff on paper, your inner life is rich, whether you know it or not. And I think that's like a big tool that's really fun to use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, is there anything new or exciting on the horizon for you? Any projects that you have in the works? Anything like that?
um yeah, I'm actually, so I've set a goal for myself this year after putting out 26, which will be a part of a greater project. Um to write, I mean, I have a lot of songs written, but I want to get one a month done, like produced, mixed, mastered, ready to go out. And then by August, I am planning on having an 8-song EP out. It might be 9 if I'm really ambitious. So I have that going on. Yeah, and I have like 2 that are kind of coming up on the ladder. One's like ready to go out. And one of them includes that song I was talking about where we're talking about past lives and things like that. A letter to whoever's next, basically. And it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, your child or like someone in your family. It's just kind of like whoever I get recycled into, this is your guide. So that one I'm excited about. And then I have another one called Wide Awake. That's going to be like the next rear and ready to go one. And it's honestly about like being grimy post breakup. It's like I don't care. I don't plan on caring anytime soon. And that's just how I feel. So that's the next one. And so I kind of am, yeah, and I'm looking into this as like a progression of feeling, but basically there's going to be twin EPs. I don't know if I'll say the names yet. I think I'm wanting that to be a little bit of a later development, but you will be the first to know.
But they're twin EPs.
They're twins. They're twins. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I really have found some great people to work with this year, so I'm really excited about it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I cannot wait to hear if you're releasing them as singles or if it's just all the EP, but regardless, I cannot wait to hear your projects when they're released. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm really excited. I think I need to figure out kind of my rollout plan. All of them will not be released as singles, but I will have at least 3. So you can expect some intermittent singles. It'll be happening.
Okay. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, a little tidbit, a little something. But yeah, and I'm just really pumped about them. This one is kind of what I can do in-house, and then the next one I'm gonna need to rally the troops and get some bigger sounds going on. So there will be a lot more
All
like
right.
live on that one. But yeah,
That'll be fun.
yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited.
All right. Well, I can't wait. And thank you again. I appreciate your taking the time to chat with me.